No, I've always wanted to, but I started my real estate career really young,
Oh,
and it's not very easy to just like pick up and move and
right.
start over
Yeah.
when, you've built a business. I try to travel as much as I can
Yeah.
to kind of offset,
Yeah.
feeling stuck
Girl,
here.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I know we just went to Florida and I'm like, okay, so where are we going
That's kind
next?
of how I feel. Pre-COVID, I think I traveled like once a month. It was just
Get
like,
it, girl.
even just like for like a weekend, it was just like, especially with real estate and how hectic it is, and it's
I bet.
kind of like a roller coaster. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like a reset. And if there was warmth, it made it even better.
Way better. I know
Yes.
my girlfriend just was out of town somewhere warm and she came back in town and she's like, I could physically feel the serotonin leaving my body
Yep.
as I landed in St. Louis. And by the way, you guys, we've gotten like, I don't know, at least a foot of snow.
Oh, yeah. I've been talking to
Easily.
people in other states, and they're like, a foot? I was like, no, literally a
I
foot.
mean, it said 17 inches like on my
Yeah.
little app. I don't know if, whatever, but at least, I mean, it's, the kids are loving it. The kids are loving it.
Yeah, I'm not. My
No.
dog loves
Mm-mm.
it. We have to
Mm-mm.
put little boots on her because it's so deep that she gets so cold that we have to
Stop.
put her little booties on.
That cracks me up. Well, I've been getting to the gym still because I would
Good for
lose my
you.
mind. Well, I have a big SUV and four-wheel
Oh,
drive.
that's how I feel in my Jeep. I'm like, we just plow through anything. It's fine.
We're fine. It's
Yeah, it's
fine.
fine.
So that's been helping big time. But anyway, I would love for you to just start from the beginning. Like who are you? Born and raised in St. Louis, and just kind of walk us through. Yeah, just get us started. Who
My
is Deb?
journey.
Yes, yes.
So I started my weight loss journey in 2017.
Hmm.
I had been overweight over half my adult life with pretty much no answers from doctors. I went from doctor to doctor to doctor. So I finished high school in 2005, and
Okay.
it was almost within 6 to 12 months of that, I had gained 50 to 75 pounds with no dietary changes, like no
Oh,
other
interesting.
changes. It was just all of a sudden the weight packed on and it kept going and going. And I went to endocrinologists, I went to like other specialists,
Hmm.
and they were just like, move your body more and eat less. And I'm like,
Simple enough. Okay.
I wish it was that easy.
Right?
And my mother has suffered with thyroid issues her whole
Okay.
life. And so I'm like, I've gotten the same thing. Like, I need to be checked for this. And they did. And they're like, your hormones are fine. Your thyroid's fine. There's basically no excuse for this. And you know your body, you know when something is not right.
Right.
And so I felt like I just had to accept that. And that was hard. I was in my early 20s,
Yeah.
couldn't wear the clothes that I wanted to wear. I wasn't, skinny like all my friends, and I didn't feel beautiful. And
Yeah.
I I would resort to like wearing all black like all the time, and people would make comments all the time. They're like, "Do you wear color?" And I'm like, "No," because in the way my brain works is if you're wearing all black, it appears slimmer. You feel
Right.
slimmer.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always was really good about is like I would always have my makeup done and my hair done and my nails, and I always had fun shoes. Like I mentioned earlier, like that the movie and the book In Her Shoes is I felt like I was Toni Collette. I focused on the things that I could control,
Hmm.
and that was my personality shining when fashion,
Hmm.
wasn't what I wanted it to be. Plus size clothing back then, not cute. It just I never felt flattered in anything.
Yeah. Now let's go back to growing up in St. Louis. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one older brother.
One older brother. Okay, you guys close?
Yeah, he actually just got married Thanksgiving
Oh,
weekend. Yeah.
oh,
We do have a
yay.
12-year age gap. So that made it difficult
Okay.
when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he used to, throw me around like a football because
Yeah.
I was, I
Yeah.
was the little sister, the annoying little sister.
That's there's I think what 12 and a half or 13 and a half years between me and my younger sister.
You
So
get it.
I have a brother in the middle.
It's hard. It is hard.
And what about at home? Life is good. Parents together? Were they divorced? What?
Yep. So
Okay.
my family is from Ukraine,
Okay.
from Kiev. I am the firstborn American in my
Okay.
family. I do speak Russian fluently. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't know about me.
That's cool.
There's a lot of confusion between Ukraine and Russia and the language. And obviously, when the war started, you had to be very specific about where you were from. My parents always said pre war, it was like I'm from Russia. I'm from Russia. Because it was not easy to explain the difference between
Okay.
Ukraine and when Ukraine separated from the USSR. And people are like, well, why do you speak Russian? Or Russian is more widely known, and that was the official language. Ukrainian dialect is very different. When I see it on TV, and sometimes my dad will speak it, I don't understand any of it. I'm very thankful that my grandmother forced me to learn Russian. I
Yeah.
actually learned it before I learned English, even being born here.
Awesome.
It's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah.
I feel kind of cool like saying like, I'm bilingual.
You are cool.
I wish I had an accent. I was like, I'd feel
Yeah.
cool if I had a Ukrainian Russian accent, but unfortunately, I do not.
You don't.
Yeah, I went to Parkway schools. I grew up in West County. It was kind of typical.
Yep.
I'm the only girl of all the kids, the grandkids, so I was definitely spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I lived a little bit of a sheltered life growing up because I had a lot of health complications when I was born.
You did.
Yeah. And so I feel like my parents were very protective.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I started rebelling a lot when it came to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I got myself, in some trouble, not legal trouble, thankfully, but like enough where my parents were like, if you don't get it together, we're not giving you a car. Like you're not appearing to be responsible enough to be able to have a car and, pay for things and have a job and whatnot. And bet your butt, I got my act together quick when the car was on the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just, rebellious teenager.
I mean,
silly things.
I would say I was a little rebellious too.
Yeah. We just, you got to push the bar a little
A
bit.
little bit.
Yeah. So I think we're very close in age. So it's like, it was just the era, you know? Things were changing from the 90s to the 2000s and, going to high school during that time and just like understanding yourself and hormones. And high school is hard.
Right.
It's like I had friends in all different groups and,
Totally.
There's a lot happening. And I feel like, there's like the whole, not stigma, but the thing about like, what high school did you go to?
That's such a St. Louis thing. It cracks me up.
It's just like, because you can size someone up basically, like, their demographic, their kind of financial class, which is silly because like, who cares?
Right.
But then there's always the rivals too, right? So you're just always like, oh, like I went to Parkway West. So people that went to Central, they're like, oh, you're a Longhorn and I'm a whatever. I don't even know. Colts. They're Central Colts.
That's hilarious.
It's silly.
It's so funny.
It is so silly. And it's like, and people still ask that as adults.
Oh, I know. When I moved here, I moved here in 2015, like I told you. I was like beside myself.
Like, why are you asking
People kept asking me, and actually, I went to school at SMS, which is random, but at Missouri State, we were the first class to graduate Missouri State. I loved it, but I remember how obsessed people were with the high schools they went.
Well, there's so many people from St. Louis that went there.
Yeah, and I knew all my friends' high schools. Like, and then when I moved here as an adult, I always got asked that. Well, where'd you go to high school? I'm like, well, I'm not from here.
And you're like, this is an awkward conversation.
Yeah, I'm like, what about like where you went to university or
no one cares about that.
No one cares about that.
Well, most people went to Mizzou, so
Right.
that was basically an easy conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like what frat were you in or what sorority were you in and yada, yada, yada.
So funny. So where'd you go to school?
I actually didn't go to college. That's one thing I don't feel like I have talked about a lot. So my senior year of high school, I got really sick. I've had a weird like string of illnesses. Like it's like every several years I have these like weird things that pop up, like kind of one-off type things.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted you to share with us, like what you've been through, because from when I met you, almost 10 years ago, I guess, like just the things you've been through. Like I know that there are some health struggles that you've struggled with.
Yes.
And so
a lot of setbacks, which has been difficult with this.
Yeah, and I think people
process.
hearing you going through what you struggle with and how you got through it is what's going to be helpful and motivational to those listening.
So my senior year of high school, I somehow contracted some weird or random form of like an adult mono. No one could figure out how I got it. And I was stubborn. I knew I was sick. And for like weeks, I would have a spiked fever. And it got to a point where it was so bad that I was like delusional. I was still living at home. Obviously, it was high school. But like my parents were like asking me questions. And I guess like I wasn't responding like in a normal fashion.
Yeah.
And they took my temperature and it was like 105. Yeah, that's like potential like stroke level at that
Right.
point. And so we went to the ER and they did a bunch of tests and I had a burst blood vessel in my spleen because when you have a really bad infection, that's what can happen. I had like either a liver or kidney infection, like I don't remember exactly. And that really messed things up for me
Yeah.
after high school because I was so sick for almost a year. I couldn't go to college. And I didn't even really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't great at school because I'm a visual learner and they don't teach that, especially when we were, in high school and they just talk at you and they expect you to read, but like I need visual. Like I would rather watch a documentary
Oh, yeah.
than anything else because I will remember these
And retain that
things.
information.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So I struggled in high school, with like studying and I'm smart. I was like in the gifted program at one point. It's just the way I learned, and I also realized like I started failing math, but I couldn't understand why. And my mom and I were in a car accident in 1999 and I had to have some knee surgeries. And so I was off school for probably a total of like 16 weeks between the two surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a doozy of a time.
I guess so.
And the school sends like a tutor type to your home to bring you all your homework and work through it with you. And she started realizing where my issues were. And she was like, I'm going to try something with you. And she color coded the math formulas and it clicked because from the visual standpoint. And it was like all of a sudden I went from like a D in math to like an A because it made sense. At one point, like my teacher like accused me of cheating. She was like, how do you go from a D to an A with like in a few weeks? And I told her, I was like, she explained it to me. And then it clicked. And so like when I need to remember things, that's how I do it. Like studying for my real estate exam, I did note cards. They were color coded by category. And that was basically how I had to learn. But after that, I was sick for almost a year. And
Oh my gosh.
I kind of just fell into real estate. I was like I guess like a front desk, assistant type to a real estate office. And this was in 2008.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of the downfall.
Oh, yeah. It's right when I graduated.
And
After I graduated.
I somehow survived, staying in real estate. I worked in different offices. I got licensed. And then it was just my career just, kind of took off. And
Amazing.
yeah, I've been licensed. Like this year is my 15th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
time flies.
And your weight started coming on after high school.
Yeah,
right?
2006.
So about this time.
I started looking for old photos and I found one from high school from like maybe my junior year.
Okay.
And then I did a side by side of like literally 1 year after at like, some kind of college party, whatever.
Right.
And it drastic difference.
So how much are we talking here? Like you were
I don't
ish.
I think in high school, I remember weighing like maybe like around like 175.
Okay.
And I even felt like for them that was heavy. But, who cares what the number is?
Right.
It really matters how you feel, how your clothes fit, and if you're
100%.
healthy.
Correct.
And then I don't think I really ever weighed myself again until almost 2017 because I was scared.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know because I had no answers.
Right.
And I felt defeated by my own body. And I remember saying like to myself, I just have to accept that maybe this is just who I'm meant to be. Even though I didn't feel that, but it's like, what other choice did I have?
It was an unexplained weight. Yeah, unexplained weight. I keep thinking weight loss, but weight gain.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was like I've talked about this plenty, on my Instagram, but like I blew up over the years to 336 pounds, and I will never forget that number. Like I said, I'm visual, so I remember seeing that on the scale.
Yeah.
It was the day that I was like, I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it.
And you worked out that you've been working out this whole time, eating well.
And I still couldn't lose the weight.
Oh my gosh.
I don't love talking about this because it wasn't healthy, but when I first started, it was like very low carb, very low sugar, because that's kind of what I knew.
Right.
To get, lose weight.
Well, that's how they told us. That's how they told us to lose weight.
Yeah.
Back in those
all the
days.
magazines, every week it was like how to crash diet and how to do this and how to lose 10 pounds quickly. And, but that's all we knew. we grew up in the era of low rise jeans and,
Oh yeah, show your belly a little bit.
yeah, the Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton days,
Yeah.
they were quite slender and that was the style we call it, but it wasn't healthy.
Right.
Like your hip bones were showing and like,
Right.
but I was never like that. I don't have that figure.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard for me to continue to go all these years and just have no answers.
Right.
And so, I mean, I definitely went into a depression.
I was just going to ask mentally,
Yeah.
what did this do to your mental health?
Well, when it came to real estate, you're constantly on the go. You're
Mm-hmm.
schmoozing clients, dinners, drinks, happy hours. And the weight continued to pack on. And it was difficult. I look back at photos and I'm like, did I just not see it? Like I knew I was overweight, but like I don't remember being that bad. And I think that's a common thing when I've talked to other people who've been on an extreme weight loss journey, is they look back and they're like, I just don't remember being that way. And so I was dating someone casually at the time, and he had said something that really struck a nerve.
Aww.
Yeah, that's how this whole thing started. He really struck a nerve. He wasn't wrong in what he said, but it was very hurtful.
Oh,
And
Jen.
also because like I didn't feel like he was like super healthy or super fit. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't. But he told me that he needed to be with someone who lived a healthy lifestyle and I was not that person. And I was like, but I can be. Like, of course I can be. And it didn't, it wasn't the fact that like he said it.
Yeah.
It was more of like, is this what other people think of me?
Oh.
And then I'm like, but why do I care what people think? I
Right.
just care how I feel and,
Right.
and what I think. And that was kind of the beginning of the end. And it was like, you've lived this many years so unhappy and in a body that you truly don't believe you should be in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it started. But it wasn't healthy. I was working out twice a day. I wouldn't say I was starving myself, but close enough. But like, that's not sustainable.
No.
And I would constantly yo-yo and I would try different workouts. And that's kind of how the whole social media thing started. I had a business partner at the time in real estate and he was like, why don't you share what you're doing? And I feel like that was still kind of taboo then, like on social media.
Yeah.
Talk about weight loss and, post photos of yourself.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah. And I'm not good at that. Ukrainians are not vulnerable in any shape or form.
Interesting.
Mental health like doesn't exist. And there's a lot of creators that talk about that now. They joke around like, oh, you're depressed? Go get up and go do something. Go walk around. Go shopping. Go cook something. Like you don't treat the underlying cause of the depression. You just move on.
Yeah.
You suppress it and move on.
Right.
And a lot of my childhood was like that. You're always the strong one. Like people would call me a hard ass all the time. And it only really became vulnerable for me when I started sharing my story.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when it became fun. I was sharing all my workouts. My coaches would, reshare my stuff. Tim Brown, that everybody loves. I started out at Orange Theory with him, and I follow him at every place he's gone to because he's an incredible coach.
It's incredible, yeah.
He is so motivating. Like from the beginning, absolutely like my number one supporter. And I've told him that for years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was incredible. He didn't ever make me feel like, uncomfortable, and there are times in Orange Theory, he would roll a heavier weight over and be like, come on, like you can do better.
I could totally see that.
Yeah. And he just has that uplifting personality and he's funny and his music. And like, I bonded with a lot of my coaches like that.
I love that.
And so I'd be very particular about what coaches I would go to because it would continue to motivate me in my workouts. And I love doing classes. It's motivating.
I mean, I love it. I teach now.
Right.
I love it so
and
much.
I feel like you have like a cult following. Like people, I am not a cyclist because I have tendinitis. And with my ankles and just the position of like your feet, I end up like getting off of it and like limping.
Yeah, we
like,
don't want that.
No. And like I tried a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just not
for you. So which Orange Theory were you at?
I primarily was at the Rock Hill location.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did get burnt out on that. Like I did like the unlimited classes
Yeah.
and, you know, I had some friends and we would always go.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like I kind of like hit like a point where I was like, okay, I need to do more. I need to be challenged more.
Mm-hmm.
But this was before they started changing the format of their classes where they had more like strength-based
Yep.
classes. So I ended up trying out a couple different places and I was able to partner with a lot of places. And, you know, they wanted, you know, me to help, you know,
Promote
promote,
them.
which was great. And they were, anywhere I went was so supportive. Like
That's
Joe
amazing.
at True Fusion, incredible.
I mean, he's amazing and very
Yeah.
supportive and helpful.
Even like I didn't like really ask for anything. I just would go to classes and he
Yeah.
approached me and he was like, we'd love to work with you. And
Awesome.
it was cool because I met so many new friends through it. And people would be like, oh, I went to True Fusion. I saw you went. And like, I was always the heaviest person in the class. And that was challenging. But honestly, none of the trainers made me feel,
I hope not.
you know, like I stood out. It was hard to see a lot of very slender fit women
Yes.
in these two-piece outfits. And then there was me. But I was there. I was showing up to the
Yep.
classes.
All you have to do is show up.
Yeah. And I was recording all of it. And I'm so, so thankful that I've been doing that this whole time because I have so many cool videos from like before and after.
Yeah.
And it's incredible for me to see that because body dysmorphia will kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you'll be like, have I even made any progress?
Right.
And I look at my old photos and videos and I'm like, Jen,
Yes, you have.
wake up.
So in doing these workouts, was it moving the needle at all, or were you continuing to see doctors and try to figure out what the underlying issue was? Like, how did that all kind of unfold?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I still continued to try to get answers,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I was like medically gaslit basically because they just kept telling me all the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did initially, when I was working out a ton and eating super low carb and low sugar,
Right.
I did initially lose 70 pounds
Okay.
over the course of, I think it was 2 years, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was around 2019 that I got to my lowest weight at that time.
Okay.
I felt incredible. I was still heavy, but I felt so much better.
Yeah.
I could do more. I started traveling a ton more because that was the one thing I didn't do a lot. I didn't want to be in a swimming suit at that size. Like,
yeah.
I eventually did push myself into that. And then it was November of 2019. I went on a trip with one of my good friends and we went to Morocco and we were there for 2 weeks. And on the 4th day of our trip, unknowingly, I ingested a parasite.
I remember this.
That turned my world upside down. It was the single most petrifying thing that could happen to you
Gosh, I remember.
outside of like something major medical above that.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a foreign country and you know something is wrong. We were on a walking food tour in Marrakesh. If you've ever been to Marrakesh, gorgeous. It was an incredible city. We were in the old city, which is called the Medina. There's no cars anywhere. There's only bikes and like scooters and stuff.
Oh, fun.
It's so cool. I was mesmerized by the culture and the food, and Moroccan mint tea is fabulous. And they use like the old school like little sugar cubes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it felt like childhood. It was an amazing experience. And we did an Airbnb experience, and so we were on a tour with people from all around the world. And we were kind of walking from area to area, and there was like this huge like market, and there was like 25 different types of olives you could try.
Oh my gosh.
And at one point, we got to snails, and I was like, like I don't think this is a good
Snails.
idea. And they were cooked, and so my friend's like, just try one, and I did, and that was the biggest mistake I
It was
had
the
ever
stuff.
made. Yeah. But it was cooked, so I'm like, oh, like what could possibly go wrong?
Right.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
I
What
think-
could possibly go wrong? Let's
Right.
not say that anymore.
I think a lot about how my life would be if that never happened. If I had just stuck to my gut and was like, no, don't eat this.
Mm-hmm.
Within minutes, I knew something was wrong. I started feeling some sort of uncomfortable feeling like in the back of my nose and
your
like into my
sinuses.
throat.
Yeah.
And it was like all of a sudden my hand swelled, my eyes, my face.
Come on.
Yeah, my throat started swelling and I started screaming medical. My friend, so it's hard, but like I will never forget the look on my friend's face. He saw my eyes and could see the fear in my eyes. And he looked over and was like, grabbed our tour guide immediately. He was like, help, like something is wrong with her. And they found me a pharmacy because they just assumed I was having some sort of
Allergic reaction.
anaphylactic reaction. I've never had that. I'm not allergic to anything like
Right.
that. Rushed me to the pharmacy, found their version of Benadryl. It was all in French, so we had to like translate it.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, quick, quick, quick. I just like took the medicine. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But the scary thing was their dosage is not the same as the US.
Okay.
Once we figured it out, it was much higher. So in the US, they don't typically give you more than like 50 milligrams like a day.
Right.
Because at that point, you've got an EpiPen if you're having such a bad allergic
Right.
reaction. And this was 90. And I mean, half the trip I was hallucinating because I kept thinking this, whatever happened, is anaphylactic. And anytime I would eat something,
You were afraid.
oh my God, I mean, the fear. I was like this the whole time. My anxiety was awful. And I say it ruined my trip, but when I look back at my photos, like it didn't. I had an incredible experience, even though I was scared the whole time. And my friend kept saying, like, if I thought something serious was happening, like I would rent a car and drive you to the U.S. Embassy in, oh my God, I forgot, in Casablanca. He's like, but I think you're just having really bad anxiety. And I was like FaceTiming my like nurse friends from like our houses. And, we had these incredible Airbnbs. And every day I would wake up, it was like Groundhog Day. Like I was foggy, I was dizzy, I couldn't remember words. Like it set in quick.
So how long, at what point in the trip? Is this at the beginning of the trip?
Day 4 of 14.
Of 14. Okay. So you still had 10 days to go.
I had bought medical insurance, which you should always buy international medical insurance on top of your health insurance.
Okay.
I was covered up to $1 million.
Okay.
And I started researching, like, how do I get myself med-vac out of this country? What's the next closest, safest country to go to a hospital? Because I was terrified to go to a Moroccan hospital. And I was starting to look at flights, one-way flights to go home. One-way flight was $4,000.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and I still had to get to like another major city because we were literally like in the middle of the country. We were in Fez. We had already traveled. We'd already been through the Sahara Desert. We spent the night there, and I'm like hallucinating at this point because of the medication and what's happening. So we get home, and I go straight to urgent care.
Back to the U.S.
Yes.
Okay.
2 weeks later, I get straight to urgent care, and I tell them what happened. And I was like, I was in Morocco this morning, and they're like, that's not physically possible. And I was like, yes, it is. I just got off my flight from wherever in term city. And I was like, I was in Morocco this morning. And they're like, ma'am, with all due respect, that's not physically possible. And I was like, what? And that's when it clicked. Like something was really wrong.
Yeah.
But they just gave me more, medication for anaphylactic reaction. I was like, this wouldn't continue 2 weeks later.
2 weeks. Did they like take your blood work? Did they do
everything? They did they went to like stool samples.
Yeah,
they did
everything.
Everything. Yeah. And because they're like, did you feel like you maybe had like a stomach parasite, something? Because my friend did have one. He got really sick.
He also got one.
Stomach. I wish I would have had that over, this situation. And I was losing my mind. I mean, I think back, I was legitimately crazy. And I don't love using that word to describe someone, but I was legitimately crazy. It was, like I said, Groundhog Day. I'd wake up every morning. I'd put one foot on the ground and I would get dizzy all over again.
How long did this go on for?
9 months.
Come on. 9 months?
Yeah. I hid it very well for about 3 months because that's how long it took me to get a diagnosis. Here we are back to the medical world. Doctor after doctor after doctor telling me it's all in my head, that I just contracted a virus traveling. And this was right before COVID. And so leading into 2020 and knowing what happened next, it was even more terrifying. But I didn't have like any like lung issues. It wasn't that type of illness. So I knew it wasn't going to be that. You know, once things started happening and progressing with COVID, people would like make fun of me and be like, "Oh, you patient zero? Like, or did you bring this?" But yeah, people were rude. And people would be like, "Well, you don't look sick." I'm like, "I don't have to physically look sick to be sick. This is at this point I did not know it was neurological, but it was neurological." And I would go to the ER, I don't know, every couple days. And they literally were like, "You have caught some sort of virus. You have to let it leave your system."
You're like, this has been going on for months now.
Yeah. Finally, it was maybe January, February. I don't even remember. So at this point I was dizzy, disoriented, couldn't walk in a straight line. Shouldn't have been driving. I will admit that. I should not have been driving. And my eyes were like twitching.
What were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking?
I was dying. That's it. I would have dreams that I had to go like back to Morocco to like fix this. Like at some point I started believing it was in my head because that's what doctors told me. It's sad because you look back and you're like, I was not crazy.
I knew something was wrong.
You all didn't listen to me. I understand there's a lot of people who suffer from a lot of illnesses that are not explained. And there's a lot of doctors that just don't know what to do. And I felt like that's what was happening to me. And at one point, I wear glasses for distance and at night. And I was like, well, I can't see well. So I put my glasses on and I couldn't see out of my glasses. And I'm like, that's terrifying. Just 3-4 weeks ago, I got brand new prescription. So I called the doctor, this incredible eye doctor that I have. She is at the Sam's in De Pere, Dr. Foley. If you ever need an incredible eye doctor.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, amazing. She's very soft-spoken. She's just, she made me feel calm until she didn't. But I called them and she was like, "No, you need to come in. Like something is wrong, obviously." Walked into the exam room. She turned the lights off. She looked at my eyes real quick. Couldn't have been 45 seconds. She flips the light back on, has a piece of paper, writes something on it, hands me the piece of paper, and she says, "Jennifer, you need to go to the ER." I said, "With all due respect, doc."
I've already been like a dozen times.
Literally. And at this point, I had already been to my regular doctor thinking I had vertigo. Not vertigo. I've had vertigo before. It's not vertigo. Then they referred me to an ENT who told me that I just had anxiety and my stiff neck was from the stress and anxiety. And here's muscle relaxer and some Xanax. You'll be fine. I will never forget that ENT. And I was like, okay then. And so I had to listen to like, what other choice did I have? But then my regular doctor was like, the next step is a neurologist. Good luck getting into a neurologist. It's very difficult.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. Same with the ENT. It took weeks to get into the ENT. I thought he would like kind of help me push to get into a neurologist, but he really did. The ENT did not. So back to my eye doctor. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, I've been there. They think I'm crazy. And she's like, you're not. She's like, you have excess pressure in your brain, essentially. She's like, one of two things are happening to you right now. She was like, you have a condition called papilledema, which is the excess pressure, which is pushing my eye. My eyes are like almost like bulging. I thought maybe I developed like some thyroid condition because there is one thyroid condition where like your eyes look like they're kind of bulging out. And then she was like, she very calmly said, or you have a brain tumor. I looked at her and I was like,
thinking, come again?
I go, what? I'm thinking, can you say that? I'm like, well, she has a doctor.
Yeah.
I was like, is this woman nuts?
Were you thinking like cancer? Did cancer come to your mind?
Oh, absolutely. You think brain tumor?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this was situational.
Yeah, I didn't ingest something that made me have a brain tumor.
Right? I was like, yeah, no. And so she was like, you need to go to the ER. And she's like, you need to go in and tell them, this is the condition my doctor thinks I have, and I need A, B, C, D to be done. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, like deer in headlights. I go out to my car. I sit in my car, have an absolute mental breakdown. I am screaming, crying. People are walking by in Sam's parking lot like, what
What's
the?
going on with this woman?
But like in true Jen
Oh,
fashion, I didn't get up and go to the ER. I had to work. At this point, it had been 3 months. What was going to happen at 3 months? I went and showed a house and wrote an offer, and glad I did because it was a competitive situation. We won that multiple offer.
That's a plus.
And one of my clients is a physician, and they both looked at me because I was clearly had been hysterical. And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Oh, I just worked out." Like I was deflecting. At this point, no one knew what was going on with me except maybe one or two friends. Not my family, no one. I hid it from everyone because I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. What am I going to tell people? I feel crazy.
Right. You don't want other people, everyone to be like, yeah, I get it.
Totally. And so I go to the ER eventually. And
like days later?
No, like couple hours later.
Okay, hours later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I submitted my real estate contract and went to the ER.
Okay.
I still had to wait quite a while. And I walk in and I'm hysterical. And I tell the lady, my eye doctor sent me here. And she's like, your eye doctor? And I was like, yeah. She told me, and I handed her this piece of paper. I was like, she thinks I have this. So the lady looks it up and like her eyes got kind of big. And I learned in that moment, anything heart, lungs, or brain gets bumped to the top when you're in the ER. I still had to wait like 3 hours to be seen. And so I get in.
This is pre-COVID still?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is January or February of 2020.
Okay.
And I'm talking to this ER doctor. I wish I remembered her name. She was incredible. She was younger. She had long lashes. She had a high pony. And she came in like bippity boppity. Like, she could see what the possible diagnosis was. She's like, hey, girl, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like a wreck, right? I'm like shaking. I can't calm down. I can't sleep at this point because my eyes are twitching so bad. I had to take the muscle relaxers that the ENT gave me. Well, I'm glad he gave me those. And she was like, here's what we're going to do. MRI, MRV. We have to light up all the ventricles in your brains to make sure there's nothing going on. We're going to do an ultrasound of your eye. Didn't know you could do that. That was fascinating. And so we did everything, but I could not lay still in the machine because I was so like, this funny term my friend used, bajiggity all the time because I just I could not relax. So they had to pull me out of the machine because they didn't have any open MRIs. They're all closed. So she had to give me a sedation. And then I finished the MRI. I wake up, 3-4 hours later back in the ER. She's like, hey, good news. You don't have a brain tumor. You don't have, there's one like serious condition where like your ventricles can get like kind of intertwined. I can't think of the acronym. She was like, you didn't have an aneurysm, like nothing of that nature. But she's like, you do have excess pressure in your brain. And she was like, the next step is we got to get you into a neurologist. And she's like, we've already called the one on call. And the next step is you have to do a spinal tap. And she's like, it's 4 a.m. You do not want to get a spinal tap done at 4 a.m. She was like, we're going to send you home. Here's a list of doctors you can go to. And I started off with the ophthalmologist to try to get the pressure to come down. And we started on medications like Lasix and whatnot. None of them worked. They made the symptoms worse, which was scary. So then I go to the neurologist, the one that was on call, and he misdiagnosed me. Yeah. He told me that he thought I had intracranial hypertension, which women of, they call it childbearing age, can develop.
Okay.
And I know. And who are obese. But it didn't make sense because I just lost 70 pounds. And he admitted that. He had no other explanation. So he puts me on more medication. Even crazier. This was the craziest thing. I had to drive in the middle of winter with my windows open because the pressure in the car was affecting my ears and my brain.
I'm like, how scary, Jen.
And how do you explain this to people? I still am not telling anyone. How do you explain this to anyone? They literally think I'm insane. And at that point, I had to tell my parents. My mom's like, I knew something was wrong with you, but I didn't know what to say to you or how to figure this out. And I'm sitting on the couch with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, something's wrong. He's like, well, what happened? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. So I finally started talking about it on social media. I was like, has anyone ever experienced anything like this?
Mm-hmm.
And one incredible woman messaged me and said, when I was in my 20s, I had a brain bleed and I started losing vision. And here's my team of doctors because they saved my life
Amazing.
at Barnes Wash U.
In St. Louis?
Mm-hmm. She was like, let me get you in contact with them. Yeah. And so I already had an ophthalmologist, so I didn't go to the ophthalmologist. They pushed me to get into a neuro ophthalmologist, which I didn't know existed either. And it turns out there's like only like two or three in the entire state of Missouri. It's a very difficult field.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace of God, this doctor had a cancellation like 5 days later.
Thank you, God.
I mean, I will admit I'm not a religious person, but let me tell you, I was praying to every higher power during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad went with me. I was there for 4.5 hours. Brain, eye, cognitive testing. Every possible test you could think of, ones I'd never even heard of or witnessed. And the doctor's assistant is like asking me a million questions as she's like typing and going through symptoms, timeline, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this very, very socially awkward doctor comes in and he plops out of the seat and he looks at me and he's like, you don't have intracranial hypertension. He's like, I treat this. He's like, you don't have this. And I'm like, okay, now what? And he was like, you have viral meningitis. He was like, you more than likely contracted a parasite that traveled to your brain. My dad and I look at each other and we're like, what the? I said, okay, now what? I said, you give me medication for the parasite? He goes, no. He's like, the parasite's long gone. He's like, that's why you're having these like neurological issues because it's left, spots where you have inflammation. He's like, it'll go down, it'll go away, and then you'll be fine. And I said, well, how long does that take?
Yeah, like when?
Yeah. And I go, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And he's like, go for walks, take magnesium,
Come on.
eat healthy. But he said, no exercise, no alcohol, and no caffeine because it would increase the pressure in my brain. And then I did have a spinal tap in the middle of this, and that was a horrific experience.
What are they trying to figure out with the spinal tap?
They check the spinal fluid
Mm-hmm.
to see if you've developed like MS or like anything of that nature. If there's an infection, if I had a leak, I think it's like a TSI leak or something like that, which I know several people that have, and that's a scary one because you could have one literally a pin drop in your spine somewhere and it will ruin your entire life. Like I know people who have gone through this. There is a woman that I have talked to on Instagram for the last however many years, and she had that happen, and doctors didn't take her seriously. She couldn't get up out of bed. She would get dizzy. She would pass out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Actually, a longtime friend of mine and client, her husband just developed it. And
How do you develop it?
It could be trauma to your spine.
Okay.
Or just one day you wake up and there's a pinhole size, pinch somewhere in your spine. So what they do is they test the opening pressure of your spine.
Okay.
And I don't know if you get queasy or not, but it's like they use a hollow needle.
Nope, I'm good.
And so I'm there waiting. And again, no one knows this, that I'm doing this. My former business partner, who's one of the calmest people I know, drove me, and which was good because he kept me mellow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm waiting to go into this whole situation. This nurse comes in and we start talking about hair extensions, and she's like, oh, I want to get some, whatever. She's like, hey girl, I got to warn you about something. And I was like, and exactly my face. She's like, so the doctor that does these, she's like, he's done about 10,000 of them. Okay. She's like, but he's really young looking. She's like, think Doogie Howser. And I was like, oh, that brought me back.
Yeah, no kidding.
And she's like, don't get freaked out. Everyone gets freaked out when they see him because he looks so young. She's like, I promise you,
he's experienced
roughly 10,000 of these.
Okay.
And he walks in, introduces himself, and sure as shit, I was like, oh my gosh, she was right.
Yeah.
So I go through that process. It's not a fun process.
It doesn't sound fun.
No. You literally lay on your stomach while they x-ray your spine, find the points they need to go. While they numb that section, you still feel everything. And then they have you turn on your side so that the spinal fluid will tilt so they can take a sample of it. And then they test, well, I guess like I mentioned, the opening pressure. And I think normal opening pressure is on the low side, maybe like 8, 9, something like that. Mine was like at a 15 or plus. And that's not good. That's the explanation for this excess pressure. So this parasite had traveled to my brain and left, all these like passages essentially. And that's what caused all the neurological issues because there was inflammation. Your body is trying to rid this. I spoke with a doctor. He was a radiologist. And I explained my situation. I asked him, I was like, how do you explain this like anaphylactic type reaction when that's not what it was?
Right.
He's like, think of people who have peanut allergies. Their body is reacting to rid of this foreign object.
Right.
He's like, that's exactly what happened to you. And that's why it appeared as anaphylactic. And that like clicked. It made sense.
Right.
So now I'm stuck waiting out this ridiculous health thing.
The inflammation is just supposed to go down.
Yep. They just,
with time.
It's a virus. And
by the way, don't work out. In addition, you're on a weight loss journey here. Yep. And you're still trying to figure out what's going on there. Mm-hmm. So this is just like piled on top. And
then 1 month later, COVID hit. And I was already losing my damn mind. I was scared. I was like scared to like go even take the trash out. I just was like such a nervous wreck all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And unfortunately, I gained about 50 pounds back during that time. In my mind, I had to be very strategic on the food I was eating, the way I cooked it, and I had to stick to things that I knew were safe. And I don't know that this makes sense to other people, but it made sense in my brain. So like I chose junk food, unfortunately, because I knew, say McDonald's, right? Universal. It's all the same. The likelihood of, there being something off with it, minimal. So that's how my brain operated. But I would force myself to cook food because I had to, I don't know if I remember even going to the store, or like, you'd have delivery during that time. It would take up so much of my time, right? I had to get the food, I had to wash it, prep it, cook it, clean. It would keep my mind busy and off of this psychotic behavior. And that lasted through July of 2020. And I went back to the neuro-ophthalmologist for my follow-up. And he was like, well, all of your physical signs are gone. So he explained to me when you have excess pressure in your brain and in your eyes, you develop these like little indentations on your eyeballs. And he was like, all of those are gone, meaning the pressure has subsided and everything's back to normal. He's like, physically, you're good. And I was like, well, why am I still dizzy? Why am I still feeling this way? He looked me straight in the face and goes, you need to get your anxiety under control. Ugh. And I was like, I don't have anxiety. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Anxiety? I'm not.
What's that? Yeah. I had never had anxiety until, I did situational, but not like this.
Yeah.
So July, I got cleared. I finally went back to working out. My favorite garage workouts at True Fusion.
I know.
I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
I miss the boxing with like the breeze coming in. Yeah. And listen, Joe did what he had to do.
Oh, he went above and beyond, as he always does.
That was one of the best experiences I had coming back from where I was. And so I gained, a bunch of the weight back, and it was what it was. And, I beat myself up about it. Well, I'd gone backwards, but I was sick. Well, you gain all this weight, but I was sick. Like I had to keep reminding myself of that. And then the weight definitely was not coming off. And that was when I realized there was more to this. And back to doctors we go, no answers. One day I talked to a friend and she's like, hey, I go to this hormone specialist. You should go talk to them. She's like, they don't take insurance. So I'm like, of course.
Look, I've already spent God knows how much. Might as well.
Yes. And so I went there. I had to wait about 3 months to get in. Revita Life Clinic in
Yeah,
DePere.
I've been.
And I went to see Dr. Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
I went for my first appointment. I think I filled out 30 pages worth of health information.
Sounds right.
No other doctor had asked this many questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in for my intake with like either a nurse practitioner or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 2.5 hours going through my entire medical history. And I'm like sobbing halfway, through this, like telling, my struggles. And she's like, we're going to help you. Like we were going to do our best to help you.
Yeah.
I think they took like 10 tubes of blood to get answers. No other doctor had even suggested the amount of tests that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, that they submitted to insurance, and that I was able to get covered. I come back 2 weeks later, and I meet with Dr. Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
She's, very direct. She's like Barbie, but like no BS.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. And at this point, I'd already started seeing things online about PCOS, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And there's 4 different types of it. And my OB had told me that it wasn't possible that I could have it because I didn't physically have any cysts. That's false. You can still have PCOS because there's 4 different kinds and not actually physically have a cyst. And so I'm telling this to Dr. Robbins, and she's like looking over my paperwork, and she's like, who told you that you don't have PCOS? Because I'd mentioned it, and I was like, my OB, and she like rolled her eyes. She was like, yes, you do. She's like, you have insulin-resistant PCOS. She's like, let me explain what that is. And she went through this whole spiel about how it works. Basically, gist of it, your body thinks you're diabetic, even though you're not diabetic, so you have to treat it like you're diabetic, which is why all those years, low carb and low sugar worked. Not just because the society told you that's what you had to do to lose weight. It, in fact, what my body needed to feel better. And she gave me, a path of, I suggest you don't eat more than 75 carbs a day, which is really low. But if I did, I would gain weight, primarily like in this area, this midsection, because it's hormonal. And the cortisol. And, I started learning all of these terms and what they all meant. And she was like, this is like what you need to do. And if you don't, it's not going to, you're just going to continue on this path. And so I listened, but like, not really. I don't think I could wrap my head around it. Like, well, oh my God, I finally have the answers. You'd think I'd be motivated to like hit the ground running.
Yeah.
My brain didn't work that way for some reason.
Yeah.
I went through a very toxic breakup that summer. I think that now was 2021. And then January of 22, I got my puppy. And that was extremely difficult. I did not know what to expect with a puppy.
Mm-hmm. It's like a kid.
Yes. I've heard from people who have raised both that sometimes a puppy can be harder. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want to know. Mm-hmm. I know what I went through. And I fell into a deep depression. I was very exhausted from this. And I unfortunately went down a really bad path. And when you don't sleep well with PCOS, your cortisol increases.
Spikes, I'm sure.
And you crave sugar and carbs. And that's what I did. And then I realized I couldn't make it through the day without taking a nap. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. So I go back to Dr. Robbins. I do all my testing again. And she walks in the room with her manila folder, throws it on the table, and says, Jennifer, what are you doing? Sobbing. I'm sitting here sobbing. And she's like, your labs are worse than they were a year ago.
Wow.
She was like, you are now pre-diabetic. She's like, your A1C is over 6. She's like, writing it down. She's like, you're now diabetic.
Oh.
She was like, you have 2 options. You either take the path that I'm giving you, or you're going to be on insulin in 3 months. I guarantee it. And I was like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. So this was 2022. And this is where Ozempic started.
I was going to ask you.
I get a lot of questions about
I'm
it.
Sure.
My opinions on it. Have I been on it? Am I on it? People love to, get in your business, which I get it. I post about my life,
right?
On social media. I get it.
Right.
So I did. I started, and this was before anyone knew what Ozempic was beyond people who are diabetic.
Okay.
And I'm going to backtrack because this is a statement I feel like I've made 100 times. Ozempic, Mounjaro, all of these GLP-1s are not new medication.
Okay.
The question always is, well, what are the long-term effects? No, we don't know. Yes, we do. They've been around for over 20 years. And I know this because my mom and my dad are both diabetic. And so were my grandparents. And the original medication came out was called Byetta. And my dad was on it because he had become diabetic but didn't want to be on insulin. I don't blame him. And that helped reverse all of his diabetes. And it helped him lose weight. But they didn't really know the true effects of the weight loss because it was controlling your insulin, therefore making your pancreas work normally, therefore being able to lose weight. It's not just because it suppresses your appetite.
Right.
It slows down the process of the sugar and the carbs.
Okay.
That's how it works. And so then, this craze started happening. And my insurance covered it because I was, in fact, diabetic.
So were you starting to lose weight? Was it working?
Not initially, because Ozempic can make you very sick. And I kind of went head first into it, and I struggled quite a bit. And I told Dr. Robbins that. And so we had to, decrease my dosage on it.
Struggled, felt sick?
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
Nauseated, may have thrown up once or twice.
Right.
I was eating stuff I shouldn't have been. You're not supposed to eat high fat, high sugar, high carb, because it's fixing all the things that are wrong, which is, your pancreas, and that you can't have all of that. It will make you ill.
Right.
And then at one point, I was still slowly on it, and I was seeing some weight loss, but not enough. And so I went back for a follow-up. At that point, Mounjaro had just come out. And she said, we're going to switch you. This medication is proven to work better on PCOS symptoms, your insulin resistance, and it's more effective when it comes to weight loss and less side effects from a gastric standpoint. And again, my insurance covered it. And so I was on it, and that's initially what started working for me.
Awesome.
I was so grateful. And I've been very honest about this on social media.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide the fact that I was on it, but I had to be on it to be able to get to where I was today. And that's where a lot of the judgment is I have PCOS. I have insulin resistance. I am allowed to be on this medication.
Everyone's allowed to be on the medication.
Exactly.
And you've been struggling for God knows how long.
Yeah, over 15 years.
Correct.
20.
Multiple illnesses. And this is something, there's no room for judgment anywhere.
No, unfortunately, there is a ton.
There is, but there's no room for that.
No.
We're all on a different journey. We all have different struggles.
Yeah. And it's if you have a heart condition and you take heart medicine, is that cheating? That's what people say when you're on this medication. You've cheated. Why can't you just go work out and eat healthy?
You have no idea.
Correct. My testosterone is through the roof, even now. And Dr. Robbins told me, and I go to her nurse practitioner now, Angela.
I love her. I was seeing her for a while.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I've never felt more validated about what was wrong with me. And she was like, your testosterone is always going to be high. No matter what medication you take, no matter what you do.
You can't get it down?
PCOS.
Oh.
It can ebb and flow. It can fluctuate, whatever. I can drink all the spearmint tea there is in the world. It will not improve it enough, and there's not really necessarily a medication that is here, this will drop your testosterone.
Right.
And I got on spironolactone. I've been on it long term. The only time I stopped it is when I had to have my gallbladder removed in 2023. That has helped quite a bit with the inflammation.
The spironolactone.
I used to get really bad cystic acne, down here. It was bad. I mean, and you get the dark hairs. I mean, I still keep tweezers in my car. It's just, these are the things that come with PCOS. And now all of a sudden PCOS is coming forward. There's so many studies on it. Even now, they're starting to say that PCOS is linked to childhood trauma and not healing trauma.
Oh, goody.
It's not I don't consider it an autoimmune disease, but at one point they renamed it. They called it a neuroendocrine hormonal disorder, which means it embodies all of those things: depression, anxiety, weight gain, insomnia.
Wow.
Everything you could possibly think of. Your hormones fluctuate. And I mean, I've been studying this for years, which is why I talk so much about it. But even if I follow every single thing that can help, I still have terrible days where I am exhausted all day. And the second I lay in bed, I'm because your hormones are up and down. And so that's why the carbs and the sugar are so important, because it spikes your insulin and your cortisol. And I preach, when you wake up, don't look at your phone first thing in the morning. Do not have caffeine within the first 30 to 45 minutes when you wake up. Do not have caffeine on an empty stomach. I preach this all the time, and I still get pushback. They're like, well, I'm fine. Well, maybe you don't have a hormonal condition. But I notice a huge improvement in my anxiety. I get up, cuddle with my dog for a couple minutes. I go straight outside. I get sunlight in my face just to like reset your body. Then I come back inside. I'll have water, whatever, something to drink without caffeine. Then I will look at my phone. I can tell you countless times where I didn't, and I look at my phone and something would like spike something, real estate, there's a lot of stress. And then that was the tone for the day. I would be like jittery the whole day. And then I would drink, caffeine and, whatever. I'm a Diet Coke girl through and through, but I drink caffeine-free Diet Coke. I go to Quick Trip, I get my caffeine-free, and I drink that like throughout the day. I don't have like multiple, throughout the day. That's like my treat. And at that point, I was slowly losing the weight, but I was also working out a ton.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. At what point, because they said not to work out because of the parasite issues.
Right.
So at what point did you start working out again? And also, what did that do for your mental health, right? Like
I mean, the dopamine alone, helps so much.
Right.
I was cleared July 2020.
Okay.
But I had to ease into it because I would still get kind of dizzy. I remember, oh my gosh, at True Fusion, before I was diagnosed with the viral meningitis, I still continued to work out because it mentally and physically helped me. I was in a yin yoga class, a heated one, with Julie.
Oh.
She was incredible.
Yeah.
May she rest in peace.
Yeah, Julie Funky had ovarian cancer. She was a profound person in St. Louis.
Incredible human.
Everyone loved her.
Heart of gold. So knowledgeable in her craft.
Yeah.
I was so thankful that I had the opportunity to be in her presence in her classes. And we were doing some sort of stretch, and I got so dizzy that I fell over in class. And I had to remove myself because I could not grasp like reality. And she came running out. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." One and only time I ever left a workout class. I mean, there are times I was in Tim's class and Orange Theory hungover, pretty much dry heaving in the corner, and I still never left.
I just took one of his classes the other day, by the way, and like
he's hardcore.
Hardcore.
Have you taken his heated boot camp?
No, I won't do it. Can't do it.
Oh my God. I mean, you walk out of there, your face is purple.
Oh, I see people walk out of there. Those times his times don't work for me. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure.
He's like, I'll make a class for you to come.
Yeah, he would say that. If he listens to this, he'll probably say that.
Yeah. So I mean, that was so important for me. And, the weight started coming off, not just because of the medication, but because I was doing everything I had to do to continue to be successful. This medication is not a end-all be-all miracle. You still have to eat healthy and exercise in order for your metabolism to continue to work properly.
Right.
And I continued that through 2022. I was doing okay. I wasn't probably as serious as I should have been. And Christmas Day 2022, there was and it's an incident that happened with my mother, a very scary one. I mentioned my parents are diabetic. My mom is on insulin and was in, at that time, stage 4 kidney disease because of diabetes, because of high blood pressure, and not taking care of herself like she should have. And an episode happened, and she immediately went into full kidney failure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a difficult day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her blood pressure had skyrocketed. She was not in her right state of mind. She didn't know where she was, what was happening. I mean, this is not funny, but it is. They had to put an alarm on her hospital bed because she kept trying to escape to go home because she couldn't comprehend where she was.
Yeah.
And finally, everything calmed down, and her nephrologist and kidney doctor was like, this is it. You're on dialysis now. And she had said for years, I refuse to do dialysis. So my mom's on dialysis 3 times a week. And that's what's been keeping her alive while we pray for a kidney. She's on the donor list. My parents will not let me get tested. They
tested for what?
To be a donor, to see if I'm a
Okay.
donor, to see if I'm a match, to donate. There's this fear that I will have kidney issues in the future, and what if I only have one kidney left? And it was self-inflicted. Like, she didn't take care of herself like she should have because of her high blood pressure and diabetes. I'm not in that position, and I don't plan to ever be.
Right.
So now we pray for a kidney every day.
Oh my gosh.
But I'll tell you, that's what scared me, because I knew if I didn't really take this seriously,
You were going to end up like that.
yeah. And I see how she suffers, you know. We joke that, this is she's going to work, that dialysis is her job every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
And you're thinking, what kind of life is this? What's the, what it,
Yeah. You can still travel and you can do stuff, and she's scared to do that.
Yeah.
Like the cruise ships have dialysis clinics, like,
Do they? Wow.
on there, like, and you can travel all around the country and still, go to a dialysis clinic and still live your life. But
right.
she fears that. And, that's okay. That's her.
Right.
So that's what really, really kicked it into high gear, and I started taking it very seriously. So through 2023, I was still on the medication and doing very well.
Good.
And then August of 23, there was another family incident that happened. I'm not going to go into those details, but I almost lost a family member. And if I wasn't at the hospital with them, I was helping my dad with my mom, getting her to dialysis because she wasn't allowed to really drive. It just wasn't safe. Or I was with my dog. I barely was even working at that time.
Because of why?
What happened with
Okay,
that
the family member.
person?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I should backtrack.
It's okay.
Because there were so many things happening. And so at that point it was like I wasn't eating because I was so stressed, and I started losing a ton of weight from the sheer stress of all this.
Well, yeah, that'll boost your metabolism, that's for sure.
And then people are like, how did you lose all this weight so fast? Are you on Ozempic? Blah, 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 blah. Through 23, I was on Mounjaro, and then my insurance stopped covering it. Because I was no longer diabetic, all my labs were normal, they would no longer cover it. So the medication that saved me, that's it.
No longer available.
No. And if I wanted to be on it, it was $650 a month.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
How much?
I don't want to afford that. I can't afford that. Like,
Right.
That's insane.
That's insane.
So I just continued doing what I was doing. I focused on the low carb, low sugar, weightlifting.
Big difference.
Absolutely transformed my body. And that's what I focus on. I've had the opportunity to go back on the medication, and I've thought about it. There was a time where my PCOS symptoms were getting really bad again, and I did kind of micro dosing a little bit to kind of help. But it's not the end all be all, and I did gain some weight back. I had to go off the medication when I had to have my gallbladder removed because I was really sick. Another freak illness, of course. It's like my It's like my MO.
Story of your life, apparently.
Literally. And it was May of 23. I had to go off the meds after my surgery for about 6 to 8 weeks. But I kind of tested the bar because they were like, well, now you don't have a gallbladder. You know, you got to figure out what foods you can and can't eat. So I was like, oh, pizza, this, that, like everything. And I did gain some weight back. But that was, again, self-inflicted. Like I did that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
If you come off the medication and you continue the healthy patterns, you won't necessarily gain the weight back. And that's what a lot of this like stigma is like, oh, the second you stop taking, you're going to gain all this weight back.
Right.
Not necessarily true. You have to continue these healthy patterns and you have to just figure out what works for you.
Right.
The stuff about just judgment is sickening and it's sad. It's invalidating to women who have PCOS, that have insulin resistance, that have been obese their whole lives, that have hormone issues. It's not fair to those people.
Right.
It's just like if you have mental health issues and you take medication, is that cheating because you can't figure out how to fix your depression? Right. That's not fair. It's not fair to judge people that
at
way.
all.
No, and I didn't want to talk about it then. Even though I was diabetic, my insurance covered it. Everyone has any right to be on any medication. I didn't want to talk about it then. And now I think it's more acceptable per se. It's a lot easier to get it. It's cheaper to get it, though the compound thing kind of freaks me out a little bit. I was never on that. I would always take, the actual medication straight from the manufacturer. That to me was the safest.
Right.
I didn't really have a ton of side effects. I mean, just a typical every so often you get nauseated, whatever. But I mean, it helped me.
Right.
I just, wish I could afford it.
I know.
If I wanted to stay on it. And when I did the microdosing a little bit, it would last longer. So like I'd pay it and it would go, for several months.
Right.
But it's not fair to those who really need it. And now it's being prescribed to people who have sleep apnea, who have autoimmune diseases because it's proven to help with inflammation. It's helping with depression, anxiety. I mean, it is crazy.
Interesting.
How much has come from this medication. And I commend the people that are on the journey with the GLP-1s and they're very public about it. They deal with the backlash. And, there's one woman I love, I think she's Amy and Half, I think is her name. She has insulin resistant PCOS, was obese a lot of her life, and was also diabetic, is diabetic, I guess. But, she's lost a ton of weight. She's very vocal about the medications and like the body dysmorphia and everything. And people annihilate her like in the comments. And
it's a shame.
It is. But you know what she does? She tries to educate. She'll reply and say, hey, I hear what you're saying, but A, B, C, D, like, no, that's not. It's not her job to try to change everyone's mind. No. You're not going to. No. There's always these fitness and weight loss gurus who continue to say, like, it is you're cheating. Just go work out. Just go eat healthy.
It's not always like that.
Calories in, calories out don't work if you have a hormonal condition.
Period.
Hard stop. Please stop telling women that this is what they need to do. It's not fair to them, especially those who have like endometriosis and any thyroid issues, Graves' disease. There's one other one that a lot of women have. I'm blanking on the name. And it causes so much inflammation. And I've seen a lot of those women start the medication and it's like they're a whole new person.
Really?
So how is that cheating? Like how can you accuse people of that? It bothers me.
No room for judgment.
No.
Yeah.
And I haven't really talked about my opinion on it briefly when people ask, because I don't want to deal with people challenging me.
Right.
With my opinion of it.
Right. It's your opinion.
Exactly.
Your experience.
Yeah. I'm like, here, this is where I stand. You don't have to agree with me. It's okay. But it saved my life. That's what I tell people. I had the opportunity to take it. My insurance covered it, which I was very grateful for because it is a very expensive drug. And it helped me get to where I needed to go. In my opinion, safely and in a healthy manner. I didn't just drop the weight like that,
Right.
even though people think I did, but that was in relation to the stressful time, you
Right.
know, with my family that we were going through.
Right.
And that, you know, it's like, that's that. And I got really motivated when I could start seeing, you know, my muscles like shaping, and I would switch up my workouts because I'd get bored and I'd get burnt out. I've actually been in a burnout for the last couple months.
Have you?
Yeah. I've been very open about that on social media. I think I went back to therapy because I was really struggling.
Like mentally?
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, all of it?
Yes. I was in a difficult relationship, and, you know, that was really testing me. And I started realizing that I am so exhausted about worrying about my weight and what I'm eating and what size clothes I wear. I'm tired. I want to not worry about how many carbs are in this damn meal.
Right.
It's mentally exhausting. And the people that have never had to deal with that,
Won't understand.
not one bit.
It's true.
It's like, and I struggle with, you know, with ADD, and that's part of it. It's like, you know, you think about having all those tabs open. They always say when you have ADD, like your brain is constantly going. That's what they talk about, food noise. That's like the biggest thing with the GLP-1s is it shuts off that part of your brain. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. People who are struggling with like addictions and impulsivity and stuff like that, they're taking this medication and they're seeing all of these
working.
changes.
Wow.
Yeah. That some of these, you know, SSRIs are not helping with. And so like there's so many benefits. And yet here people are, these keyboard warriors, you know, harassing people online, judging them and making fun of them for improving their lives. Jealousy? I don't know. Like you could improve your life too. You don't need to shame people for that. It's not fair.
Right.
But the turning point for sure for me was when my mom got sick. That's the initial prediabetes diagnosis should have scared me. It did, but it didn't. But seeing where I was heading, that was enough for me to be like, this is not the life that you need. Yeah, you're too young. You've already spent
better.
Absolutely. I already spent over half my adult life, and
Fighting.
I say this, in a body that I believed I shouldn't have been in.
You knew something was wrong. You knew something was off. I wonder how many times you went to the doctor. Like I would want to. I mean, like countless.
I remember sitting in the very first endocrinologist office. That I don't remember if it was the one my mom went to or like someone else in the office. And she literally said, "There's nothing wrong with you. Your hormones are fine. Your thyroid's fine." She's like, literally just said, just lose weight. Don't you think I would if I could? Like, why are you telling women this? It's so invalidating.
And
it's
unfair.
infuriating.
It really is.
It's little medical gaslighting.
So where are you today? What's like, you look good, you feel
Thank
good.
you. Yeah.
I mean, you've been an inspiration to so many.
That is the plus side of sharing my journey is the amount of people that I've met and the connections that I've made and the opportunities I've been given. And some of my closest friends I met on Instagram. And it's so funny when you tell people that.
It's how it works these days.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I have friends of all ages. I have friends like in their 20s, and like 3 of the people that I adore the most are in their 70s. They're like, we'll go to happy hours with, or go shopping, or, you know, we'll go do whatever. And I adore them. It's like my mom's age. So I'm like, but it's unique because I don't feel like I'm talking to my mom. I feel like I'm talking to a 30-year-old.
Right.
Because they're fun. They're still living their lives.
Right.
I don't know what I want to accomplish next. People always ask, like, do you have a goal weight? I'm really trying not to focus on the number on the scale, even though it is extremely difficult. I voice that a lot. I hate that I am married to that number and that I put so much stock.
Well, like you said earlier in the podcast, the number doesn't matter.
It shouldn't matter, but
It does. Just I know, but I'm saying, but
Right.
what you said earlier was right. It's how you feel.
mhm.
It's how strong you are. It's about fueling your body and being the best version of yourself you can be.
Mhm.
And the number will fluctuate no matter what, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I mean, you're a female. You're on your period. You're gonna be up 10, 15 pounds in a week. That's water weight. That's,
Totally.
sodium. That's everything. And it's scary that your body can fluctuate like that.
Yeah.
Stress will do it. If you have inflammation and you eat something like a lot of PCOS experts really push gluten-free and dairy-free.
Mm-hmm.
And for some, they do have the intolerance, so they do have to remove that from their diet. But in my opinion, to be successful with weight loss with PCOS, you do not have to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I still eat gluten and dairy, and I don't have any reactions to
Mm-hmm.
it. It's the carbs and the sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's refined. I can eat fruit all day, every day, and it will not cause my blood sugar to spike because it's natural sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It may spike a little, but not like if I ate candy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, listen, I'm not like completely disrupting my entire life with food. I have in the past. I would restrict a lot. I would do these like challenges and
Mm-hmm.
crash diets. And then once it was over, I would crave all of that because I
Restricted for so long.
I withhold that from
Yeah.
myself. And the key is the balance. And what I've learned is if I do want a bagel and I want carbs, if I front load it in the beginning of the day, it will not affect me as much.
Okay.
Throughout the day, if you're exercising or you're out doing stuff,
Right.
I try to be active with my dog when there's not a foot of snow on the ground.
Right.
And it helps balance me to where I don't look on the scale the next day and I'm up 5 pounds, which is a reality.
Right.
And people think that's not possible. Yes, it is.
Do you focus on protein?
Yes, because it keeps you full longer. It helps your muscles recover. I don't necessarily do the like 30 grams, the beginning of the day. I've not noticed a difference in me. For some people, it has, and that's great. You just figure out what works for you.
Totally.
Some days, I still don't sleep well. And then I want a bagel, and I'm going to eat
That's
the
fine.
bagel. Yeah. If I'm at Costco, I'm gonna get him that cookie. Have you had that cookie at Costco?
No, I don't eat cookies
Wow.
because I'm gluten free. I
Oh,
try to
never
be
mind.
dairy free.
You can't have it.
Girl, no.
Well, we've talked, like, you have been kind of like some of your own struggles, trying to figure out hormones and whatnot. But so you
Yes.
figured out what works.
Yes.
And that's what has to happen. And that's what people have to do. They need to do what works.
For them.
Yes. And don't worry about what anyone else is
No.
doing.
Cannot compare yourself because you've never been in anyone else's shoes.
No.
Right. I mean,
If you have not been 336 pounds for the majority of your adult life, you do not get to make a comment
right.
about me or my body or the way I look.
Correct.
That's been very difficult, like in the
'cause
culture.
You're vulnerable. You open up. You have, by the way, her Instagram name is Losing
The Jiggle
the
with Jen.
the Jiggle with Jen. I thought it was my jiggle. Losing the Jiggle with Jen. You can find her on Instagram. But being vulnerable and sharing your story, like I shared Kyle's cancer journey, and it has done a lot.
You have done amazing
Well,
things.
thank you. I was just
Please give yourself more credit.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely.
It's all for the legacy of my husband that
Absolutely.
didn't deserve to die, as young as he did. And for my children who, will not ever know their dad,
No.
but they'll know the legacy that he left.
Absolutely.
And
that will live on
it will.
through you, through his children, through the organizations that you've partnered with, through, like the 5Ks and like all, like the hospitals that you work with. Like you have done such incredible things.
Well, thank
and
you.
I don't know that many people that could go through what you did and still have some sort of like positive outlook on life. But you have 3 beautiful children
Thank you.
who need their mother to be strong. And I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Well, as you know, it's been a difficult journey. I mean, last year was absolute nightmare for us. My anxiety and depression was horrid. But in being vulnerable and sharing my story, I know, I've gotten a lot of messages that have helped other widows, have helped other pancreatic cancer caregivers and people struggling. And, we have been able to make a difference in his name and by being vulnerable and open on Instagram. And the same goes for you by being vulnerable and sharing your story with all those people who also maybe didn't realize that they had, PCOS, insulin resistant PCOS, but having the same symptoms. I mean, weight in your weight loss journey, like you've touched a lot of people.
Thank you. I do get a lot of messages like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it just was like, oh, okay, yeah, no big deal. Like, oh, thank you for saying that, just because my emotion hadn't really evolved. And it hadn't really clicked that it's like, wow, look at what you've accomplished.
It's inspirational.
Yes, thank you.
And you've kept pushing and you kept fighting and you didn't give up.
I didn't have a choice.
But
even
some people do.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like every setback was like, oh my God, I'm going to gain it all back and I'm going to be back where I started. I still fear that.
I'm sure.
That's the one thing I think people do not talk about enough is the mental aspect behind it. The body dysmorphia, the fear of gaining the weight back,
sure.
and just this constant, like I said, I'm exhausted about thinking about this all day long.
So I feel the same way about my anxiety, depression. I think the same thing. I'm like, if I have a down day or, whatever, it's that time of the month and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting anxious again? Is my depression back? Like, what am I going to do?
And you know what? If it is, it's okay.
Right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's something I struggle with too. But that's just my upbringing. It was like you always had to be the strong one. My grandmother was an incredible woman, my mom's mom. She wanted me to have a better life than they ever had in Ukraine. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But that didn't translate well all the time. It was like I was in swimming, ballet, dance, piano. I was singing. Like, what else? Gymnastics. Like, she had me doing everything. Tennis. God. Ask me how many of those things I do now.
How many? None. And by the way, gymnastics and dance and tumbling and all that, you're in tight outfits. And I mean,
And you're a kid.
And you're a kid. It's one of the reasons, my kids love gymnastics and tumbling. But I question putting them in ballet and dance because I did growing up. And at a young age, you start to compare yourself because you're in the same leotard and tights, but your figure's bigger or different than the other, and that the small little skinny one always gets the star part in my experience.
You're not wrong.
I mean, so I'm like, I don't really want my daughter to do dance.
And I don't blame you. If she wants to, you figure out how to have a conversation.
Right.
To say, you know what? You're here to dance. We don't need to worry about anyone else that's here
right.
or anything else that's
right.
going on. It's just about you and what you're here to do, which is to have fun and learn how to dance.
Right.
Things that I was never taught.
Right.
And there's a lot of generational trauma that exists, particularly in Slavic cultures.
You can say that again.
Yeah. And it has affected my life quite a bit. I talked to a lot of friends about that. And I'm not here to, talk shit on my mom or my grandma, but they did not make my life easy.
Yeah.
I will say that. There was a lot of judgment on what I was eating, what I was wearing, comments about my body. My grandmother, God rest her soul, would make a lot of backhanded type things.
So I bet that affected you too. I mean, that had to affect you.
Beyond.
And that's why I was kind of asking your family history, was there that body shaming, that fat shaming? What was
food shaming?
Food shaming, all those things.
Do you really need another piece of bread? Could you maybe do something different with your hair? Mm-hmm. Wow. You know what I actually did recently? I went on Amazon and bought 2 sets of wigs. One that's looks like my mom and one that looks like my grandma. And I want to start recording
Stop.
little bits of the things that they have said to me over the years. And I've learned to forgive because they did not know better.
They didn't know better. I know.
My grandmother lost her entire family in war.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And she would tell me about her time as a child and the invasion and having to flee and this and that. And I look back now and I'm like, how the hell could someone like have survived that and still gone on?
Right.
She was a nurse. She was a teacher.
Wow.
She, raised my mom and my aunt, and my grandfather was an incredible man who tolerated her sassiness, and he was like my best friend. I will say the weight gain and what I know now is from the PCOS symptoms amplified after my grandfather passed. I took that very hard.
Yeah,
he was
sure.
like my everything.
Oh.
It's something I still work on in therapy. Like the day that he passed, the series of events that led up to it, I have so much regret for, but I have to forgive myself.
You have to.
Yeah. And it is very difficult. It's been many years and I still think about it. He was my best friend.
Yeah.
We had such a good bond. And he would always call me in Russian, kitsa, which is like little kitty, which is funny because like I'm allergic to cats. I don't love them, but
Yeah.
I was little kitty, growing
Yeah.
up. And they basically raised me. My parents worked both full time, and my family is also Jewish, and I went to a private Jewish school that was very close to my grandparents' residence then, and they would take care of me. And I spent a lot of time with them, and I actually learned how to read and write in Russian at one point. And I don't remember much of it now. I wish I did, but I'm very thankful for all the opportunities that I had and all the time that I had with them.
With
They
them,
were
awesome.
Incredible humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say research says like if your kids can be close with your grandparents, the benefits are huge for both the child,
Yes.
the grandchild, and the grandparent.
Absolutely.
So.
And I learned a lot from her strength and even my mother's strength, and all the health issues and, watching her suffer is difficult. She's actually in a really good place right now, I will say. I've been joking lately that since my brother got married, she had all these projects to do for the wedding, right? So her mind wasn't on her illness. And she was so focused that she's been better.
It can make a big difference. Absolutely.
Livelier. Oh, yeah. Like running around.
Well, when you have a purpose,
Yeah.
then you're not stuck thinking about all your ailments or
Yeah.
your disease or your illnesses, and it doesn't consume your mind. You have other things to focus on.
Yeah, well, the depression sets in, because you're like,
Right.
this is my life. My kidneys have failed. Oh, something in my eye.
Right.
And it's just like, I couldn't imagine what that feels like.
Right.
I mean, PCOS is chronic, but not in the same
Right.
capacity as that. Dog hair probably in my eye.
Oh gosh, you need a Kleenex?
Maybe. Story of my life.
I know my eyes water really bad in the winter. I don't know what it is, but like people come in, they're like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No, my eyes water."
There'll be like dog hair and like my eyelashes. Like it's insane. Having a German Shepherd is not for the weak. I will tell you that.
It's so funny. My daughter keeps asking to get a dog, but she was allergic. She doesn't react anymore, but my middle still does.
That's scary.
And so we don't.
No, you don't want to like take a Zyrtec just to have a dog. That's not fair.
Nor do I think I can handle one more live human in my home. Actually,
you have enough mouths
to take
to feed.
care of. Not at this point in my life. Okay, before we wrap this up, quick update on dating life. How's dating?
This is the one question everyone always asks.
Well, yeah, because you think about your whole life, you've been fighting these illnesses and these diseases, and like
I still dated then too.
But every woman, not every woman, but a lot of women like want to get married and have kids, and like where was that in your brain?
I knew actually really early on that I did not want children.
Okay.
I don't know that I have a specific reason, but when I think about having kids, it doesn't bring me excitement and joy like it does a lot of women. And I love kids though. I'm so good with them. Like some of my friends' kids, like they will ask like where I am. And one of my friends has 2 younger kids, and I like bonded with her son.
Love it.
And he asked her a few months ago, can Jen buy the house next door and live next door so she can hang out with us?
I love that.
It is the sweetest thing
It's so
ever.
sweet.
The beauty of the weight loss is being able to physically do the things I want to do that I feared, and like playing on the playground with him, going down the slide, the monkey bar. Like I leave the playground and I think like, could you imagine like still being in that position
Mm-hmm.
and not listening to Dr. Robbins and not being able to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I was on a trip in 2017, I think, like right when I started my weight loss journey, and I was
Mm-hmm.
still pretty heavy. And we were in Costa Rica and we were doing zip lining. I don't think I really understood what that meant because we went zip line through the jungle.
Okay.
And I don't know, I thought it just meant you just go back and forth.
Right. That's exactly what I
Yeah,
pictured.
that's not how it works.
Uh-uh.
I was terrified. I was the heaviest person. They'd like double strap me, which is an embarrassment in itself.
Of course.
That's another thing is like you think about all the things that you used to be afraid of. Airplane seats. I used to always need an extender. That was embarrassing to have to ask for that.
Jen.
Yeah. These are things that I think a lot of people don't think about.
Well, of course not, unless they've been in your shoes. Again, unless they've been in your shoes.
Hence why I'm Toni Collette in her shoes. She was not like super heavy, but in that book, like she was always competing against her young, fun, attractive, fit sister, you know, and I felt for me like that's like my friends in society, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I look back now and I'm not as sad as I used to be when I think about like all the doctors that just didn't listen to me or take me seriously. I used to get so angry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not as sad now, which is good. I used to think about it and just cry because it's so upsetting to not be taken seriously. And I know you know what that's like with your own journeys. And it's so upsetting. But I'm definitely mentally like in a better place.
Awesome.
The balance for me is better and I can preach that better. And I share that a lot. Like if I'm having a bad day and I'm eating that cookie at Costco, I'm telling people that because you know what? It's okay to do that within reason.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to restrict a ton unless your health needs you to do that. And unless you have, you know, an ailment or an illness that you need to be gluten free or, you know, especially with celiacs and whatnot.
Right.
And I just want people to remember that I've been on this journey since 2017.
It's 2026. We're talking almost 10 years.
Yeah. Like this, you have to have the patience. And a lot of women tell me, they're like, I don't see results. And so I just give up. And you just can't do that.
You can't never give up.
And trust me, I've done it, you know, many times because I'm like, well, I already messed up this week, so I'm just gonna go get a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Like it is what it is. I've never been like a binge eater of sorts or like I don't like overeat when I'm like sad or depressed. I'm the opposite because I get like anxious and I get like nervous stomach and I'm like I can't eat. Like it stresses me out, which is why I lost so much weight in 2023. And I want women to know like this is a very difficult battle. There are people who are on your side.
Yeah, you're not alone.
No, you're not. Even you may feel like it. Trust me, I felt it for 15 years, not being taken seriously. I tell women all the time, if you're struggling, you have a question, DM me, shoot me a message. You live locally, you want to go grab coffee, you want to talk about it, you want my advice, I'm happy to help. I literally just did that. One of my clients messaged me after the sale, and we become friends. We were just on the phone yesterday. She's like, "Can you please help me?" She has PCOS, and she's like, "Will you come talk? Will you talk to me? Can we go get coffee?" We went to lunch. She's been working so hard on changing her schedule and trying to get like consistent. She works from home, so I know that's a lot harder. When you have routine, it makes it a lot easier.
Right.
And I tell people who are self-employed like I am, with your workouts, block it out on your calendar.
You have to. Yeah.
This is a meeting with yourself.
Yep.
Do not change that.
It's a non-negotiable.
Correct. And I started doing that and booking those classes because if you try to cancel too late, they'll charge you.
Yep.
You don't want to pay that.
Nope.
So then you're forced to go.
You go.
So I'm happy to help anyone.
I
And
love that.
we hung out for like 2 hours. I told her all the tips and tricks that I learned with PCOS and she's been implementing them. And she loves walking. So when it gets better out, we'll go walk together. We talked about that. And I love seeing the success. And I still get messages like, thank you for talking about PCOS. I think I have it. I know what to tell my doctor. Now I know what to say to my doctor. What are some of the tests that you have done, or
Right.
what else can I do or say and tell my physician to be taken seriously? And there are more and more doctors that are understanding it. My most recent OB flat out told me, we were not taught about PCOS in
Wow.
medical school.
Wow.
There is not official training on this.
Wow.
And so I'm so grateful that clinics like Revitalife exist who take that seriously.
Yep.
I know they can treat you for anything, but I know they primarily work on female health and female hormones. And I know a lot of women who have gone there and had success. They can't guarantee that they can help everyone,
Right.
but I appreciate there's resources out there.
Absolutely.
And so many people on social media are PCOS experts. And I share all the time the people that I follow and what I've learned from them and what works.
Right.
It takes time for your body to readjust. If you've had high anxiety and high cortisol for years, and all of a sudden you just implement everything, your body's going to go into shock. It's going to take time. And a lot of women say they get overwhelmed. And I said, and exactly what I told my friend and client a couple weeks ago, I said, start with one thing. Implement one thing this week. If you can do it every day, continue the next week, then add something else. Don't overwhelm yourself, because that's how you fail quickly.
Yep.
And I struggle with that, going from like 0 to 100. I'm an all or nothing. I'm all in or I'm out.
Same.
That's where we find friends that can help you through that, who understand, and you can bounce ideas off of, or go do things together and help each other.
Totally.
And I've found more of that. And I think that's the important part of keeping up with the social media, because there are so many times where I just want to delete everything.
Yeah.
And disappear. But I don't feel like I can do that. I don't necessarily owe anything to anyone, but I feel like I do. There are a lot of women that rely on me for the information that I have to share. And I do love when people are like, can you post more of this, or can you post more of this? And like, I've evolved into like more fashion and, skincare. And, I talk a lot about the foods I eat and what I make. And
Right.
I appreciate that people come to me and say like, hey, I want to know more about this. Thank you for sharing this. Someone said to me the other day, I learned that oversharing is a trauma response. I learned that a while ago, and I talk about it in therapy, and we talk a lot about negative core beliefs, and that kind of plays into that. And this one woman and I were messaging, and she's like, yeah, and you taught us the other day that oversharing is a trauma response. She's like, I had no idea. And I was like, oh, people actually listen. Like,
they do. They
I'm
sure
not
do.
just talking just to talk.
Yeah.
And sharing.
They sure do.
That quick answer for the dating. I was in a relationship recently. I did share quite a bit about it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it wasn't
Meant to be.
No, it was not. And I really thought it was going to be like the one. I'm not really sure where I want to be with dating. I feel that I just want to just live. And if something organically happens, great.
Right.
I did used to share quite a bit about my dating life and the ups and downs and the lack of emotional maturity and intelligence and the very inappropriate things that men would say to me. And I think a lot of women got a kick out of it. But those women, definitely, you're not alone.
Right.
Know that. And there's a lot of women that talk about it. I don't know, like what the future holds. People keep asking, what are you doing next? Like, I have thought about trying to compete in like a bodybuilding, like physique, like competition. I think I want to do that like around my 40th birthday. I just turned 39. That's going to require a lot of, intense training, which I can do. I mean, I've proven I can do it. High rocks comes up quite a bit because that's very physically challenging. I don't know if anyone has any ideas on what I should do next. I don't know. I think the hardest part right now is learning how to maintain.
Yep.
I talk about this a lot. My entire life, all I've known is how to lose weight. I don't know how to maintain.
And you're in maintain mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
You figure out what your body likes, what it doesn't like. And you know what? Some days you are going to be up 5 to 10 pounds because it's the holidays and you want to go out and have fun and you want that piece of cake. And I had cake at the wedding.
Yeah.
I didn't tell myself I can't eat it or shouldn't eat it, you know, like I don't drink as much as I used to. And that would fuel a lot of, you know, like
anxiety and depression.
That.
Yes. Mentally, yeah.
But even like eating, you know, unhealthy foods.
Oh, that's true.
You crave it. You're hungover. You want a cheeseburger and a Coke or a Sprite to like help you feel better.
Right.
And a lot of it is like I preach the balance. You have to find the balance.
Right.
The one thing I will say that has been very difficult to navigate is the physical changes, like the loose skin. I get a lot of questions about that. How do you handle it? How do you dress to conceal it, you know, in ways? And there's just some things you can't, you know. I don't hide my body like I used to. I used to always, even in the middle of summer when it was 100 degrees, I'd always wear some sort of a jacket to cover my arms. Yeah, these are a lot of things I've actually made a list of videos that I want to make to talk about the things that would go through my mind and the way my brain would work. Because I think there's a lot of women that go through it and feel like they're alone in that, or like, oh my God, why am I thinking that? But it's a reality. Like your brain just works that way.
Right.
So I definitely will be doing more of that because I want more like relatable content for people to understand.
Right.
Because there's so much I hadn't shared along the way because it's embarrassing of sorts. Who wants to like admit that they were afraid to like sit in a booth because they wouldn't fit or in a specific chair. I used to be anxious about going to like small restaurants to like navigate like through tables and chairs.
Yeah.
Like silly things that
you don't think about.
No, that you would never, it would never cross your mind if you've never experienced
unless you're in your shoes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And being so vulnerable and open. And, you know, surely this is going to inspire people and touch people. And
I hope so. Especially as females with hormones issues and PCOS, we have to stick together.
Right. And it's way more common than we think.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with you because you have this. I think there's a lot of women like, well, how did this happen? Or why is this happening to me? It's okay. You can get help. There are people that understand, and we're here to support you.
Yep.
The best we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you had one thing that you want to leave the audience with, I know this is going to be hard. I always ask this at the end, but one thing.
Should have got a warning so I could think about it.
Sorry. I know. I do this every time and people are like, but just one thing you want to leave the audience with, like one key takeaway.
Always advocate for your health, no matter what. Do not take no for an answer when you know something is not right with your body. And even like when I had the meningitis stuff, I didn't stop until I got answers.
Right.
It may cost a lot. It may take time, but continue to advocate for yourself.
But it's worth it. It's your health. And without our health,
what do you have?
What do you have?
Find your support system. Figure out the doctors that will help you. And if you don't want to go the Western medicine route, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going the holistic route. I take plenty of supplements that help with PCOS. Medication alone is not going to fix my issues.
Right.
You know, the spironolactone has helped quite a bit. It's not going to fix everything.
Right.
And I take, I've been open about this, I take progesterone too to help with some of my fluctuations. So one other thing we didn't touch on, but a lot of women suffer with is that coincide with PCOS is PMDD. And that's another hormonal disorder that needs to be taken more seriously. And from that perspective, continue to advocate. That's like the one thing I tell people all the time. Like, well, my doctor doesn't think I have this. Go to another one. Ask your friends.
Find a different one, get a second opinion, a third opinion. Yes. It's so true.
Unfortunately, it can cost a lot of money, but you have nothing without your health. If you're not at your best,
right,
what's going to happen?
Right.
You're going to continue to live this miserable life. And trust me, I lived it.
You lived it
for over 15 years. And I still have my bad days.
Of course, we all do.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for building this community on social media. It's scary to be vulnerable. I mean, I was like doing all these challenges and sharing photos of myself in my underwear. Like, who does that? But it helped me. I needed that accountability. That was the key. Is if I had enough eyes on me, I had a less likely chance to fail. But I still failed in certain times. I had setbacks.
Which we're going to have setbacks. All of us are going to have setbacks.
Yeah.
Life is not smooth sailing for anybody.
No. And if you think people, on social media are portraying this perfect life, it's not real. It's not real. And that's why I am praised a lot for talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Because it's a reality.
It's real life. And that's what people want. That's what we need. Authentic people who have a voice, who have a mission, who have a purpose, who have a story. That's what we need to inspire others and to help people feel and know that they're not alone. So thank you again, for being on here. Thank you for losing the jiggle with Jen. It's been fun to watch your journey and,
Thank you.
Not only fun, but just, again, inspirational. It has been.
Thank you.
So thanks again for coming on.
I'm happy to be here.
Love it. Okay, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Yes We Can podcast. We'll be back next week.